question is, can you speak to memory? This topic of memory. Medically, spiritually, socially, emotionally. And really, what's pointed at with that is changes in memory, or perceived changes. And with my condition, short-term memory changes are, it's just like the tides coming in and coming out. It's always changing. And it's amazing how much that can be pretended around, if that makes sense. That our conditioning, how we normally go around day to day and the roles that we serve, and sorry, it's cold in here and my nose is cold. There's so much in muscle memory that's not mental memory. It's just what we're used to. That kind of carries into what's talked about. It's almost like muscle memory of the tongue and the mouth and the lips. Muscle memory of how we receive other people, how guarded we may be, or how relaxed we may be. And when those roles drop away, when the seeing through of separate self happens, when identity is softer and less sticky and there's less reactivity around identity, what I am supposed to be and not supposed to be, when that's softer and the aliveness just presents itself, I realize that there's a lot less memory and like there's a lot less mental story of what's happening, what just happened. And when I'm fatigued at the end of the day, when the energy has been exerted, and this isn't just spiritual awakening, because there is some of that, but this is having a neurological disability, the experience of energy being gone systemically, the messages that are being sent from the brain and the spinal cord are just so slow, so wanting of rest and lying down, and there is an energy for conditioning, there is an energy for thought and creating a me. And there's been more allowing of that, less fighting of that with, well, naturally that happens with the awakening to what's here. Even right now, noticing the mental tiredness, and short-term memory can just come in and out. And now it's kind of, this feels sometimes playful, sometimes relaxing. I like to be free of the need to remember. And certainly it was for a very long time so scary. And still is for my loved ones and for people who aren't experiencing, anyone other than me who isn't experiencing the personal experience here is there's discomfort and fear. People can talk about being a parent and being elderly and the memory loss that comes with that and be okay with it, but for a young appearing, healthy appearing woman, memory loss is scary. It's very scary. It's the losing of me. And I'm smiling a little bit because that is not true, but it feels so true. Because when we think of the mind and identification and performing and doing and being a me, we don't think that can happen without a memory. We don't think that can happen with someone in some thought process that's controlling everything. We don't really believe that we can live in the present moment because we believe that we have to be controlling everything. And how could you possibly control moment by moment by moment? That's exhausting. And then perform all of these other functions that need to happen. How could I possibly be remembering everything actively while doing? And the beautiful thing about memory loosening and softening and changing and coming in and out is that functioning still happens. And memory comes back when it wants to. I'm not saying that for some moments and here and for others maybe struggling with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or other medically altering mental states, that doesn't impair functioning in certain ways, that there isn't more help that's needed from other people. For me, absolutely. Absolutely, I depend on other people. But other people can still depend on me. And it's not this be-all, end-all, the memory's gone forever. It comes back when it wants to, and that's fine, but it's still not taken to be so serious because it's not seen to be me. It's just a process. It comes in and out of an ability to narrate and collect and gather thoughts and experiences, but there's such a trust of this moment unfolding because that's all that's here and functioning is happening through it. So I think what I would highlight when answering this question about can I inquire into memory is that there's a rich and when I say rich, sometimes that means painful opportunity to explore fear and memory. Fear and loss of memory, control in fear in holding on to memory. And that's a lot of energy. And the reality is it's being let go of, whether we try to control it or fight it or not. The reality is when we go to bed at night and our head hits the pillow, the same thing is happening. Memory is gone in that moment. Yeah, there's no fear of it right now. I mean, I can definitely feel other people's fear of it, and I so understand that. And I'm not saying that I never feel fear if there's a stark inability to cognitively perform in a way that the body is used to. That fear response comes up, and it's so natural. By and large, it's not. But I totally it makes so much sense, and there's compassion when I feel the fear in other people when I talk about my memory not remembering. There's so much more to life in this body, in this form, than these controlling narratives of what it should be, how functioning is and isn't, and if you don't function, if you don't perform. How you should loathe yourself because you're not worthy. I mean, all of life is worthy. All of life is fine. It's here. It's just how it is. And you watching this, as much as I am, as much as any teacher is, and there's one other thing that I'll point to before I close is I noticed that sometimes the memory, there's something that's trying to be crafted together. There's a sense of oh, I'm not quite remembering things, and maybe this is kind of the muscle memory of if I tighten and I stop and I push the thoughts into doing what they need to do, then that will happen. But that's old conditioning, because really it's an energetic thing. If the energy's there, what needs to happen happens. And the mental capacities just happen through that. It's not that it's coming from the mind and the memory. I don't know if that makes sense. It's I can sense the shadowy, muscle memory of controlling how that operates. And that feels tight, intense in the body. We're surrendering to just mind, memory, mental functioning as it wants to happen, and the energy that carries all of that is relaxed, is open, it's at ease, it's self-validating, it's yeah, I really don't know if any of this is gonna land with anyone watching, even myself. That's okay. There's just the aliveness in talking this way and following that.